move on to points blank. We're talking about um, the Tinubu's 2024 budget presentation. Is it business as usual, or does genuine hope? I don't know, you guys, if you watched the president speak on Wednesday, the 29th of November, when um, delivering his portmanteau of the budget for the uh, celebration of the joint house. Are we are we are we seeing something different? Are we are we are we hopeful? I know SDP came out to say this is great, this is fantastic. PDP came out and this is rubbish, this is nonsense. It's all rehash and all that. What's your take? Are you hopeful? Are you disappointed? Anyone? Bosun, Mr. T, Alex.
Hello. Okay.
Bosun, go ahead, please, so that we can deal with the
Oh, okay.
noise.
When I looked at, is there any noise in the background?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. When you
Okay.
speak, you it's a
All
little
right.
bit, yeah. But go ahead.
Okay. When I saw the budget, and funny enough, I've always followed budget and budget analysis for a couple of years now, and I didn't see much difference. Like, the only difference is that this one is in trillions, and it's I think about 10 or almost 15% higher than last year's budget. But it's literally the same thing, and I'm like, what is this budget supposed to achieve? Because I saw the current expenditure. I mean, they have to service debt with about 30% of the budget. And for me, that is not looking fantastic. It's what we've seen over time, and it's the same thing again. And then I was looking at it that, okay, fine. I remember, though, I mean, funny enough, for me, I feel budgets are supposed to have things they achieve. Remember this Cross River guy, I believe, Ayade, he's always coming up with
Yes.
funny names for budget. He understands the fact that
Yes.
budgets are supposed to be targeted at certain things and to achieve a certain effect. That's the essence. But though he was quite comical with what he was doing. But I was looking at, what is this budget supposed to do for this country outside the normal, outside what we used to know? And sincerely, I couldn't put my hands on it. Security has the highest, about 12%, which we've always is always been the same percent. Health had about 5%, education less or thereabout. And I'm like, so what is this supposed to take us? Where is this supposed to take us from this point to the next point? There's nothing much other than the way it is. And I saw infrastructure and the amount voted. Like, I even saw something on poverty alleviation and eradication. And I looked at it that with the amount of poverty and enormous poverty in this country, that is this enough to take us out and put us where we're supposed to be? Or is this just a budget issues where we just make you feel good and then we continue the way we used to be? For me, I'm not particularly, I haven't been able to put my hands on where this budget will take us from where we are to the next point. I can't find it, except maybe some other analysis come up that can actually tell us that this is different from how it used to be. It just looks like a continuation for me.
Okay, Bosun, for clarification, the president titled the budget of renewed hope, and in his 42 paragraph presentation, he mentioned um, the the performance of the last budget, and then the sectorial areas they want to focus on. As we go on, I will ask some questions, especially concerning what exactly Does the I mean, who's calculating for the president in terms? He mentioned that an aggregate revenue of 11.045 trillion naira was budgeted to fund the 2023 budget of 24.82 trillion naira, meaning that about more than half of it, more than half of it was in deficit. Now, their own this year, it's reduced a bit, maybe not substantially, but reduced to like 8 trillion deficit. Now, my own agro is the the what takes most of our money is what they call a non-recurrent debt servicing,
That's
and then the recurrent
overheads.
expenditure,
Yeah,
yeah, the
recurrent
overhead.
expenditure. Overheads.
Those two items, those two items make almost like well, 55,
60%.
50%. But by the time you add the capital outflow, I mean, you're talking about 65, 70. So we're saying what we spend money on that is not producing anything is about 60% or 62% or thereabout. So meanwhile, what will produce and what will make other people survive and all that is less than 35%. Yet in this voluminous amount, you are still going to have a deficit in excess of 12 trillion. That means you have to borrow, you have to take loan.
Yeah,
They are
to
going to take
fund it.
loan to pay to fund deficit, meaning that you are paying the debt and then you are taking loan again to pay part of what you are paying the debt. And as you said, it looks like are we getting out of the woods or we are going deeper into the woods?
It's
Alex,
like
I'm
we're
confused.
digging
I'm,
we're digging more holes to fill the existing holes. When you look at the analysis, uh, you see deficit budgeting in its real sense is not bad if it's done properly. But like we've said, when you look at the different sectors, you wonder if this budget really has a focus. We did say the title is A Budget of Renewed Hope, and he specifically mentioned that they're going to focus on job security and poverty alleviation. If you follow the presentation, there was an emphasis on that. But you see, when you look at the budget specifically, the areas and the distribution of funds do not really reflect poverty alleviation and job security. For instance, education and health. Those are two key areas that help alleviate poverty. If the people of the country have proper health care and they have good education, it tends on the long run to reduce the impact that poverty will have on them. Then there's the issue of infrastructure, which is also part of it. We need roads, we need proper transportation, we need proper structures in place. Like we've been talking about electricity, right? Now, let's look at it. If you have improved electricity, that will help drive the economy. People don't have to rely on generators to fund or to power whatever processes they're engaged in. If you have improved education, the number of out of school children who do not have basic education is alarming. I'll just give you an insight. In a city like Lagos, there are over 2 million out of school children. And you know what that means? If you have 2 million in Lagos, in a state like Zamfara, where you have decreased education, and in a state like Borno, you're going to have more than double that number. Now, on the long run, these out of school children become a menace to society. They are the ones who join the gangs, they are the ones who join the insurgents. So we have that problem. Then the issue of health. I mean, when you can't take care of the people of the country, you tend to have regular outbreaks of preventable diseases. and it's all rooted in poverty. So I think we have a serious problem. The last part, there's a part of the budget that talks about social development and poverty alleviation. There was a 534 billion naira was allotted to that. Now, in my estimation, where is that money going to go? You look at the whole of Nigeria, it's not enough to serve that purpose. So I think we have a problem with the purpose of this budget. And one more thing is the monies that have been earmarked, we cannot be sure that they will get to the areas they are meant for in the final analysis. That's the tragedy of all this.
I
Well,
personally, I would not repeat everything that's been said because I have them on ground. But my thoughts really are that it gets to a point where, yes, I'm worried about where the focus is. But he mentioned something that I thought that we should pay attention to, and that's the overall of the internal security architecture, enforcing capabilities with a view to safeguarding lives, property across the country. And I'm really interested in that. I want to see what exactly that architecture or structure would be. We already have these things in place, these institutions in place for security. And I'm worried. Are they really working, or do they need to be pressured to do a lot more? That is one that really works for me. And another one is attention given to development of human capital development. And we've always been saying it. We only have institutions, we don't have people to manage or show capabilities to carry out effective utilization of the structures they are built for development purposes. Now, after building this thing, that's people, after empowering them, what do we do at the end of the day? They run away. Is there any structure that prevents them from buying particularly? We're not going to say you must not do it because it's human rights issues, but do we have structures on ground to make people stay and say yes? If I do this, I will get this in return. Why do people run away? Why do people run away? The health sector is one I thought that we should also have paid a lot more attention to. I do not know if the story is true. A hospital decided to shut down a particular ward angle of its institution, and then all based on the fact that there are no doctors. Doctors have left. What are we doing to put that thing in place? Because health it matters a lot. If these elements are not in place, people will still run away. Yeah, the life is there. No, we need to be focused. I see a lot of going around the bend, just as many people have been saying. So maybe it's time to really come out and explain. There should be some basic interpretation of these things and making it clearer to the people. Particularly, I don't think the assembly people are looking at it like that because I think they are past it or they're on the verge of passing it. So we need to ask vital questions. Who will answer those questions? I didn't see much about mineral exploration. I think these are things we can make money from. What's the plan? What are we doing to salvage it and make it proper? And stop illegal mining. These are things I want enshrined in an outlook like this, so people will know. Yeah, we're serious this time over issues.
I think this week, this coming week, will give you opportunity to confirm your fears or to substantiate it, because that's when they will break down sectorial discussion, trying to probe each sector, each MDA and agency and all that. So I hope we won't be disappointed if we are hearing the same thing that we've been hearing for the past 30, 40 years about buying toilet roll, one toilet roll that we buy outside for 250 at 2,500 and all such crazy, irresponsible insertions into the budget. That would be sad, if indeed, because he framed his focus quite well in the presentation. What they want to do, how they want to do the business, how they want to help create a safety net or uh, deepen this safety net for the poor amongst us. How they would do that. And then one thing that struck me was it was kind of celebrating the fact that they've been able to cut down the deficit. In terms of last year, he said the deficit was 13.78 trillion naira,
Yeah.
and now they've been able to reduce it to 9.18 trillion naira in 2024. I mean, that's projected. And then the one that hits me, since Alex said there's no big deal about deficit, budget deficit, but how you use it. He says they will the deficit will be financed by new. I'm quoting him now. Deficit will be financed by new borrowings totaling 7.83 trillion naira, 298.49 billion naira from privatization proceeds, and 1.05 trillion naira drawdown on multilateral and bilateral loans secured for specific development projects. Right. So we're taking loans, we're drawing down loans from developmental agencies and supposedly investing in certain areas, but then we're still short. We're still short. We're still spending 45% of our revenue to pay debts, and these revenues. Remember, our former person, I've already bought forward all shipment nowadays that they're taking have been paid for many years ago. So they are taking it now, virtually free because we have already collected the money. So where is the
They're not
where
taking it for
where
free. They paid.
so I'm afraid of the diversion of interest towards taxing the poor, taxing the Nigerians who are already overtaxed, looking for all alternative means of revenue. Because now you may just stand beside your car and they say you are not standing on the right side of the car, you are fined. You know. But I'm afraid
In fact,
of the kind of
Uncle Fred, let me even say something. The president said specifically there's a drive towards tax, and like the
yes,
budget
it's
is
so
driven alongside where the tax agencies will probably just have to step in, and they're looking for more funds in that direction. And I'm like, in this already overtaxed Nigerian space, I don't know how that's going to work, and I don't know how kindly people will take to that, except they want to explore new areas where tax has not been. Because if it's the same set of people, if it's the same tax net, and they're looking for how to increase what amount of tax they want to put, they might be heading for difficult days ahead.
a serious headwind coming. I fear for us for 2024, especially for the average Nigerian, and how you will cope with your personal finance, and then Nigeria also needs your money, and they will find a way of getting it. Nowadays, business, especially small scale business, is almost a suicide mission because there are many people out for you. Uh, if you're not careful where you stand, you can be taxed out of existence, and there will be enforcement policies and all that. I fear for us, and I hope there's a turnaround, especially if Dangote refinery comes on steam and they're able to find crude oil for him to refine. Hey, Nigeria, we have problem. A problem. Well, last word on point blank before we move on, because Nigeria problem, as Bosun would say, they finish. Uh, but I have hope that this new hope budget will be different. I'll be thoroughly disappointed next week. I begin to hear silly stories about uh, padded items and padded whatever in the budget. That would just be sad. Okay, gentlemen, we'll take a short break and come back. And that break is this.